Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we are going to be talking about Candi, or Hungry Fat Chick. I'm sure most of you guys know who this is, but for those of you that are unfamiliar, Candi is someone that is a larger individual that makes mukbang content, right? And so she makes a lot of videos of herself basically eating, for the most part, very unhealthy foods, and she just kind of films herself eating these. And she has been also, though, on a weight loss journey. And so what she has been trying to do is basically do these mukbangs, and then she's trying to eat, quote unquote, healthily throughout the week, and is trying to lose weight. And so with that being said, this is her second channel. So her second channel is where she kind of documents this weight loss journey that she is on, and shares, how she's feeling with her viewers and stuff like that, and kind of chats. There's a couple of different videos that I want to go over. We're going to be going over this one first. So this is from the 1st of this month, as I'm recording this in August of 2025. So let's go ahead and see what Candi has to say, and what she's been trying to do with this weight loss and how it's been going.
Hey y'all, today is Friday, August 1st, 2025. I got my kettle on. I'm gonna have some coffee this morning. I'm waiting on my friend to come. I'm doing a collab with a friend of mine on Instagram, and they're going to be coming to do some cooking for me. This evening I'm going to be having a Southern style oxtails meal, full the works. She's doing the oxtails and gravy with rice. I'm gonna have mac and cheese, greens, cornbread, and a dessert, some kind of peach cobbler. So it's gonna be a pretty heavy meal that I'm ending my week with here. But this has been a very food heavy week. I mean, all I can say is I have the last 2 weeks I haven't been dieting at all. I mean, I've had a guest stay with me for the majority of the time, and we ordered out sometimes a couple of times a day. I wasn't counting calories.
So what I'm hearing here, and I'm sure most of you guys know this, but I am someone that, I like Candi and I want to see her succeed. And so anything that I'm saying here is not a judgment towards Candi. It's just more someone in Candi's position, or Candi, if she ends up watching this. I'm sure she doesn't, right? But this is that's where I'm coming from with these videos, right? With Candi, it seems like she's at a point now, because she actually has lost this pretty significant amount of weight. Like, if you look at how she looks in this video versus some of the videos that she has on her channel from years ago, she actually has lost a good amount of weight. And so that's awesome. But it seems like we're at a place now where the rigmarole and just how kind of monotonous weight loss can be, and the things that you have to do to make that happen, can get really just boring, right? And then especially when other people get involved, right? When there's another person, whether it's a relationship, this is super common. You see it really, really often. Obviously, this is not the same situation, but a very common situation that I've heard a lot about is that there will be a relationship where there's a couple, whether they're married or whatever, and one person will have to get bariatric surgery, or they'll choose to get bariatric surgery, and then one person in the relationship doesn't need bariatric surgery. They're not necessarily that overweight, right? And a lot of times those relationships actually end because the person that had the bariatric surgery, they have such a huge life change, right? To be able to maintain that weight loss, and just in general, they're not able to do the things that got them to the point of needing the surgery, right? And a lot of times, let's be honest, right? That means sitting, eating, not moving, just kind of living that kind of lifestyle, very sedentary lifestyle, right? And especially the people that are successful with bariatric surgery long term, they adopt a healthier lifestyle. They might not become athletes, right? But they adopt a healthier lifestyle. They're not eating out as much, and they are maybe going on walks and stuff like that. And a lot of times that can really clash. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because it seems that the person that has come over is more fine with a sedentary lifestyle. And then on top of it, if Candi is kind of just enjoying that moment, it can be really, really hard to stick to a weight loss plan when you are when you are in a relationship, because that person that you're in the relationship with, or you maybe even are trying to be in a relationship with, they may not be wanting to do that thing. So it's definitely a very common thing that Candi is experiencing here. Even, she's an older woman. She's not old by any means, but, she's not, in her 20s, right?
But hopefully I was able to kind of control how much I was eating. So hopefully at least what I'm shooting for is to be in some kind of way maintaining where I've been, because I'm planning, the plan for me is to get back on the ball with the calorie counting this coming week. So yeah, today is going to be a heavy mukbang. I'm going to be potentially doing a collaboration with this person, Tasty Hands. I'll post a link on my other channel when I do the video and stuff. I'll post it here whenever the collab drops and everything. But yeah, Tasty Hands on Instagram, and they serve like lunch plates. They don't have like an actual restaurant, but they do catering, they do all this stuff. Anyway, so it's gonna be like a regular thing that I do. And then potentially I can also get them to, to come in and do some meal preps for me. That'll kind of help me get through the rest of my weeks. Anyway.
I mean, I don't really know much about this Taste Hands place, but I mean, if they have relatively healthier options for meal plans or meal preps and stuff like that, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think one of the biggest things that we see very common, right, is how easy it is to get food now, right? With DoorDash, you don't even, especially with Candi, right? I don't think that she can like drive herself, right? And so having those options, being able to just get it delivered, having a healthier alternative, maybe it's not perfect, but it's certainly better than getting a bunch of McDonald's, right? And so is that perfect? Maybe not, right? I don't know much about this Tasty Hands thing, but it's probably better than ordering, ribs every day.
So that's in the cards. But my kettle's going crazy right now. So anyway, I want to just go ahead and do the weigh-in and see where I'm at, kind of like a baseline, because come tomorrow I'm going to be counting full calories. Oh, and the leftovers, don't worry about the leftovers. Tasty Hands is going to be like, it's going to be food for whoever. Anyway, I'm just getting my one plate, so I'm not going to have leftovers. I'm just getting my one serving of everything. That I might see if they'll leave me a tray of the leftovers, but it's going to be a nice bit of food. Anyhow, all right, this is almost boiling. Anyhow, let me get up and see if I can't get on the scale. Okay. I've got to move it just a little bit. There we go. Oh, and she's activated. Hello.
It's ready.
It's ready. Okay, let me get up here. Whew. All right.
366.6 pounds.
366.6?
366.6, right? And I'm not sure if the comments are right here. Yeah. So some of the top comments, I'm not calling these people out or whatever, but no way in God's green earth she is 366, maybe 466 is more believable. I don't think that she is lying intentionally at all. I just don't see that with Candi. I think in my opinion, she's been very honest and upfront about this stuff, especially compared to a lot of the other people in the girl worlds, right? I don't, again, maybe the scale is off, but I don't think it is Candi trying to manipulate it. I just don't see that happening. I think Candi is relatively short. I saw some of the comments saying she's 5 foot. I don't know exactly how tall she is, but if she is 5 feet, being 366 would lead you to be pretty, your dimensions are going to be different than someone that's even 5'6", right? So those 6 inches are quite significant, right? And so I think that the people that are saying that she's lying and putting on this like facade and has been lying about the weight for years now. Like I don't think that's happening. That's my own personal opinion. Obviously I am, I am maybe a little bit nicer to Candi than other people are, but I just don't see that in the content that I've seen from her over the years. She does not seem like someone that's going to manufacture something like that. But again, I could be wrong, but I just, I wanted to put that out there because I saw a lot of comments stating that they felt that she, the weight was off.
What? What? You know what? I kind of believe it. I do believe it.
So she's surprised there because she thought it would be higher, and it's lower than she was thinking. So this is what she's talking about here.
I'm on our. Hi, let me pour my coffee real quick. 366 point what? Okay. Well, from what I gather, because I was doing my best, even though we was eating out regularly. A lot of the times I wasn't finishing, and I wasn't really ordering a lot of food for myself anyhow. And then there were some days that we were just being really lazy and we didn't get up and get food till pretty late anyhow. So there were a lot of days there was just like one meal for the day. And then there were a few days where he was off doing other stuff around.
So she's talking about someone that had came and visited her for a couple weeks. So that's what she's mentioning when she's saying we, if you didn't know.
Vegas. And on those days, I didn't really eat a whole lot. So, okay.
So obviously I don't know this whole situation. I would be curious if maybe that part of it was just not... People are going to be like, oh my God, this is definitely not true. But I'm just spitballing ideas, right? This is just things that are rolling around my noggin, right? And so I think maybe part of it could be, everyone please calm down. Maybe that she was a little almost embarrassed to eat the amount that maybe she would have before in front of someone. I know people are like, well, it's probably a feeder, so he probably wanted it, or they probably wanted to see it. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Certainly it's possible, right? But I'm just saying, like, if she is surprised by it, maybe that's something that happened, right? That could, all I'm saying is I'm speaking from experience. I definitely did not enjoy eating the amounts of food that I wanted to eat in front of people when I was bigger, right? That was something that was very common with me. Again, I don't know. I mean, obviously Candi eats large amounts of food on camera for a lot of people, but I just feel like it is different doing it on camera than it is in front of someone watching you, right? Again, maybe I'm wrong there.
Wow. All right then. So I guess I cracked the 370s. I cracked the 370s when a feeder was in town. Shock.
So a little tongue-in-cheek there.
All right, let me get back on there and do it again.
So that's kind of everything that we need to watch from this video. A lot of it's just kind of her talking about her experience this week and stuff. And this next video I want to go over as well. This one is from August 8th, so this was just a couple days ago as of me recording this. It's a lot shorter of an episode, so it's a little bit more to the point. There's not as much rambling. So let's go ahead and see what she's saying here.
Hey y'all. Today's Friday, August 8th, 2025. Nothing much to really talk about today. Yet another week has gone by that I didn't really pay attention to what I was doing.
So that is important, right? Because this last video that we were just watching, she was so sure, okay, tomorrow is going to be the day, right? Tomorrow is when I'm going to lock in. Tomorrow is when things are going to work. But then she weighs herself, and then she's like, wait, I was actually, like, this actually worked out pretty well. And I'm just a little worried that maybe that comfort is coming into play a little bit too much, right? Just because something worked like 1 week, like you in my experience, you have to be pretty diligent, right? When it comes to losing significant amounts of weight, you cannot rest on your laurels, because once you start doing that, you start to almost believe that you deserve things when the work hasn't really been put in. I don't know if that makes sense, but that was something that I struggled with a lot when I was first trying to lose weight. All the times that I would fail, I would put in all this effort and maybe some things wouldn't change. And then I would feel like, well, I should have lost weight. I deserved it. And then I would get very frustrated. But then it also happens when you do lose a significant amount of weight and you just start doing the things, and you start to almost believe that, okay, this is my life now. This is just what's going to happen. And you almost get kind of comfortable, right? And I just don't want that to happen with Candi, because it feels like she's like, well, another week, didn't really try. And I just don't want to see that continuing, right, time and time again. But I will say, like, one thing that I am really, like, a big positive that I am happy that Candi is doing is the fact that she is still doing these weekly things. Like, there are plenty of other people online that say they're going to do it and they're not able to stick to it. So the fact that Candi is sticking to this, I think that's a good sign in and of itself. At least she is sticking to her word, which I think is important. And I commend her for that, for sure.
Hopefully not too bad, but we'll see. Even when I feel like I'm doing great, I probably don't. And when I feel like I might have messed up, sometimes I did fine. So
it's interesting, right? And I think that just goes into the psyche of just what goes on in someone's brain that is significantly overweight, trying to lose weight. And a lot of times we play a lot of mental games with ourselves. I think a lot of times to make ourselves feel good about the situation that we're in, whatever that is, right? And it gets weird, man. I don't know how to explain it. This is so interesting seeing her go through this, because I remember having very similar feelings, obviously different, right? Me and Kenny are not the same person. We have very different lives, right? But I just remember these weird kind of things that I would deal with, and I felt like, oh, I didn't have that great a week, and I weigh myself, and I'm like, oh, crap, I guess I did, and then vice versa, right? You think you did really well, and you're like, what the heck, man? And so it can really mess with you, and so it's interesting to see her kind of experiencing that on her own, kind of, obviously a very strange mukbang YouTuber version of that.
Without the calorie counting, which I guess this past week has just been kind of intuitive. Like I said, it could be a pass or fail. Who knows? Anyway, let's see if I can do this. All right. Ow. Okay. I'm going to push it forward. Ow, dang.
Hello,
Hi.
it's ready.
Okay. Alrighty.
365.0 pounds.
365.0.
So 365.0, that's like a pound and a half-ish down from last week, right?
Okay. Oh. Okay, so I'm okay. I think I lost a pound. Good stuff. I definitely need to be counting my calories, because I would potentially be doing better, but something's better than nothing. So
I do agree. Something is better than nothing. I think that just having a little bit more mindfulness about what's going on, I think obviously that would be a good thing. It's a good sign that even though she doesn't feel like she's doing everything she can, that weight is still coming off. I just worry that can be reinforced and be like, I just don't really have to try, right? I wouldn't be surprised if she continues doing this, a weigh-in is not as beneficial, right? It's not as positive, and there's some weight gain, right? And so I think just being a little bit more vigilant on the things that that you should be doing obviously are going to be helpful. And I'm sure she wouldn't even argue against that, right?
Anyhow, yeah, there's not been much going on. I had Susan come over this week. Brian was supposed to come yesterday and today, but he moved it to next week. Yeah. So that's me this week. Love you guys. See you next time.
So that's kind of the updates that are going on. Obviously, if I think in a perfect world, if Candi didn't feel the need to do these mukbangs and pay for her bills that way, obviously that would be a much easier way to do it. I've always said I don't think it is impossible to lose weight and do these mukbangs frequently as she does, but it certainly makes something that's already hard, right? I've talked about, like, it's like pushing a boulder up a hill, but now you're also making the ground slippery. Like you're taking something that's already very difficult and then adding this level to it for no reason other than you I mean, it's a big reason, right? You feel like you kind of have to pay for your life, but it just makes it more difficult. And so, but I mean, all in all, I am happy that Candi is losing weight. Is it the way that I would do it? No. But does it have to be the way that I would do it? Also no, right? I hope that she continues down this way. Like I said, I don't think that she is faking these weigh-ins. I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I would be surprised. Obviously, I could be wrong, but I would be surprised if she was putting in the effort to fake these things. It just seems like I said, if you look at old videos, there certainly is a change, and I just wanted to share that. You know, we talk a lot about people in girl world who say they want to lose weight and never talk about it. Well, Candi, she talks about it pretty frequently, right? It might be on a second channel that doesn't get that many views, but she is kind of putting her money where her mouth is, and I can appreciate at least that, right? So I would love to know what y'all think down in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.